Hello students, hope you all are doing well. The next practical in IoT subject is on Raspberry Pi kits. So let us start with Raspberry Pi kits. Back in 2006, while Eben Upton, his colleagues at University of Cambridge, in conjunction with Pete Lomas and David Braben, formed the Raspberry Pi Foundation. Early prototypes of the Raspberry Pi were based on the 8-bit Atmega 644 processor. Following prototypes utilized ARM processors. In 2012, the team started its first production run, consisted of 10,000 Raspberry Pi units manufactured by foundries in China and Taiwan. Unfortunately, there was a manufacturing issue where the Ethernet port was not working. This incident caused some minor shipping delays. It took the team 6 years of hardware development to create the Raspberry Pi makers and electronic enthusiasts adore today. The Model B, which is discussed in our book, is the old version. In April 2012, the original Raspberry Pi, also known as the Model B, was launched. It offered an ARM V6 700 MHz single core processor, a video 4 GPU, and 5 TB of RAM, all packed in a credit card sized board. The Model B supported 26-pin GPIO and SD card slot for loading the operating system. GPIO are general purpose IO pins. You can see that these are different components which were available on the Model B. Today we don't get Model B, we get Model 3, 3B plus boards in the market. So we have GPIO pins, 26 GPIO pins. Out of these 26 GPIO pins, there are different types of pins. Some are pure general purpose GPIO pins, some are VCC, some are ground, some are serial pins, and some are I2C pins. Video out, a composite video is also available to connect to older televisions and composite monitors. We have a 3.5 mm audio jack, which can be used for audio devices. Two USB ports of version 2, one Ethernet RJ45 connector port, one HDMI port where today's LED monitors, monitors and TVs can be connected, or if you want to connect the TV LED monitors, if you don't have HDMI port, you can use HDMI to DVI converter cable to connect your monitor. This particular board is having a single chip which is called as system on chip, where all the parts, all the functions are integrated into a single chip. We have a micro USB port which is just like our mobile cells USB port, small, where through which this particular board can be powered on. This particular board does not come with inbuilt operating system and inbuilt storage device, so there is a SD card slot where you have to put SD card, from where this particular board will boot the operating system. There is a DSI port which is called display system interface, where a LCD panel can be connected. So these are different 26 pins which are available on Model B version 2. So some are GPIO, some are VCC, some are ground. We'll discuss these pins later in detail. So this is Model 4, Model Raspberry Pi 3 Model B element I4. You can see that the later version from Model 3 beginning, all boards have 40 pin extended GPIO, 4 USB ports, 1 LAN port, a 3.5 mm jack, a CSI camera port where a special MyCam or camera meant for Raspberry can be connected. We have a full size HDMI video output, a micro USB power input which can support up to 2.5 amperes, a DSI display port for connecting a LCD display, a micro SD card slot where you can put your SD card slot which is having a operating system, onboard Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Starting with Model 3, all Raspberry Pi boards come with inbuilt Wi-Fi module and Bluetooth module. Raspberry Pi 3 GPIO address, starting Model 3 onwards, Most of the Raspberry Pi boards, most of the boards they have 40 pin GPIOs. The GPIO pins on a Raspberry Pi allows you to connect your Raspberry Pi to all sorts of electronic devices. This GPIO stands for general purpose input output. GPIO pins are the metal spikes that stick out of Raspberry Pi. Older Raspberry Pis have 26 pins and newer ones have 40 pins. Some of those pins are for power rather than inputs and outputs. Pins are either power points or IO pins. Power pins are hardwired to 0 volt, 3.3 volt or 5 volt. You can't change them. IO pins can be set to either as input ports or input pins or uh, input or output. Pin numbering. Uh, Pin numbering, there are two numbering systems of GPIO pins. Physical numbering is the easiest to understand. It tells you where to find the pin on the physical Raspberry Pi board, which are counted from 1 to 26 or 1 to 40. BCM numbers, which is also called as Broadcom numbers, are only for IO pins. They don't match the physical numbers, but some from the uh, some from the way that they are connected to the processor of the Raspberry Pi. When writing your code in a program, you can choose to use either physical numbering or BCM numbering. In next video lecture, you will see how to install operating system onto Raspberry Pi and how to start with it. Thank you.